All right, guys. Hey, this is Pete from crunchtimecoaching.com. Today we got a match preview, and we've got Matt, Matt Bradshaw also on the line.
I'm in a tennis dungeon.
That is a cool tennis dungeon.
Yeah, you like it? I like yours too. Yours is a little less dungeon.
No, yeah, it's not dungeon. But so, guys, it's a weekend on the ATP tour. We just had Tsonga won in Rotterdam over Goffin, which we will analyze that match. And then Ryan Harrison, pretty cool in Memphis, is in the final against.
Yeah, I was shocked to see that.
Yeah. He kind of came out of nowhere. Hasn't really done much this year.
This is the first time in 6 years that he's been this far in any ATP tournament. In fact, in those semifinals 6 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
How old is he now? He's got to be.
This is his first final. I got it here. Let me pull it up. And I'm going to guess he's 26, 24, something like that.
Well, I know, and he's.
Your guess, Pete?
My guess is right in the middle. I'm going to guess he's 25.
25.
Yeah.
Here comes 24.
24. Okay, cool. Well, that's better for him. And he's playing Basilashvili. Did I say that right, Matt? We're both guessing at the name.
Basilashvili.
All right, we're going to go with that.
All right.
If you guys know,
I've never seen him before this weekend. I think Friday night was the first time I saw him ever.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like a pretty solid player. He kind of reminds me of Kukushkin.
Okay. Yeah, we lost you. Now we got you back.
Sorry, I'm back.
Yeah. So I think he's an interesting player in that he's actually been making a little tiny surge lately. He's up to 67 in the world. Last week, because I never heard of him, so I did a little research on him, and he beat Dominic Thiem out there. In Bulgaria.
In Sofia?
Yeah. And he also beat Klizan, who I think is a great player. I think Klizan, I keep waiting for him.
I believe won this tournament in Memphis last year.
Oh, really? I keep waiting for him to make a bigger move because I think he has all the talent in the world. But again, kind of a disappointing performance on his side. He won the first set 6-0 and then lost the next two sets. But credit to Basilashvili for that.
Basilashvili.
Yeah.
And he outclassed Kukushkin. Their games are kind of similar. They both do everything pretty well. Don't really have like a huge weapon, although maybe give an edge to Basilashvili. He's got a little more firepower. And he was just steady. He moved well. He didn't miss much. He's ripping the ball the whole match, it seemed like.
Yeah.
So he looked pretty good in his semifinal.
Yeah. So I think that this kind of is a weekend, Matt, for people who are like real tennis fans. Like if you're watching tennis this weekend, you love tennis because it's kind of for certainly the person who's the non-enthusiast who maybe just watches events like Serena Williams winning a 23rd major or Rafa and Roger going at it for, the history books, that people will turn on the TV for that. But this is more like you're a hardcore tennis guy or girl, right?
Exactly. Which is why I usually peek in at this tournament. There's a lot of cool names. Like Roddick had that memorable win there where I believe is in the final match point. He dives, he hits a forehand on the run and gets airborne. Do you remember that? Yeah,
there's been a lot of great memories.
Tommy Haas has been really good there. If you're a Tommy Haas fan, a lot of people like Haas. So people have seen those highlights from him doing pretty well. I think he's won it multiple times.
Yeah, and didn't Nishikori come back and win after he lost to Roddick that year? Didn't he come back and win it another year? Or did
I remember him because when you win, you pose with the guitar. I remember Nishikori holding that guitar, looking kind of uncomfortable with a guitar in his hands.
He'd rather have a tennis racket. But the cool thing about that Memphis tournament is it's very intimate. Like it's like almost going to literally like a racket club and watching the players play. And there's been some big moments. I know that win where Roddick dove and hit that winner, that tournament was special to him and he had a great career. So, the players do care about these tournaments, even though maybe the fans not as enthused, but like Tsonga today, he won, I think it was the first time he won a 500 tournament, which I was surprised to hear this since 2009. I didn't realize it had been that long.
Wow, I didn't either. That's a long time. It's about how long it took Federer to win a major.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tsonga, he did pretty well there. Rotterdam's a cool tournament. It's kind of also like a Memphis. It's a 500, but still mainly big tennis fans only watching.
Yeah. So before we get into the preview of the match that I think they're probably taking the court right now, which is Ryan Harrison.
Yeah, they probably just started.
Yeah. Let me do a little recap of what I did watch Tsonga play Goffin. And you know, this guy, Goffin, is very, very consistent. He's consistently putting up good, solid results, and he's starting to remind me, to me, he's kind of a mix of a Gilles Simon and David Ferrer, to where he's a grinder, kind of like Ferrer, not a huge weapon, but also moves around the court so smoothly. You know, Ferrer looks like a workhorse out there, a grinder, where he kind of like floats around, kind of like a Gilles Simon, and a great counter puncher, and can just be a little sneaky. But that match, he won the first set. But what I worry for him, because as far as getting to that next level of winning a Grand Slam tournament, you know, once Tsonga started to step up and hit his forehand big, he kind of grinded out the second set and then pulled away. Like, he just had too much firepower. And that, to me, has always kind of been the problem with Simone and David Ferrer. Like, they're tough, but they just don't have that next gear they can go to, and a guy like Tsonga does. So that was the difference. And Matt, you have some pretty key stats on that, right? Why don't you go over some stats?
Let me pull up my stats. Sorry, I got the Memphis stuff pulled up. But yeah, I did, just going over the stats, it looked like Tsonga served really well. 68% first serve in and 80% win on the first serve. So if you're getting your first serve in 68 and winning 80% of the time, that's pretty tough to beat, especially for someone who doesn't have a big weapon like Goffin. And also, I wanted to ask you, Pete, you don't think Goffin has more power than a Gilles Simon? And like a little more firepower?
Well, I think he does have a little more firepower. He, like I said, he's kind of, to me, like a mix between a David Ferrer and a Simone. He's got a little more firepower. I think he's got to me, I think, because he's a mix of those two guys, I think he has a little more game than both of those guys. Now, Ferrer got the most out of his game, had a very consistent year, and figured out how to be in the top 10 many years. So it will be interesting to see if he can do that, because that's not easy to do. But I do think he has the potential to be better than both of those guys.
Well, he's 26, so he does have a little time. Do you think there's a way he could find that weapon or get a little more firepower in his game? Or
I don't see it. I don't see what part of his game he's going to dramatically ramp up. His serve is
he's
decent.
5'11" and 150 pounds, by the way.
Yeah, I just don't see I just don't see where he is going to magically develop a weapon. And so he's just so consistent with his performance that he's always going to be a tough out. But when he goes against the top dogs who can go to that extra gear, you know, I just don't see it happening for him.
Yeah. And it looks like from his numbers, that's pretty much what happened. I mean, he served in the 60s. He was winning 72% of the time on the first serve. It's not that bad, but yeah, it looks like he just couldn't go to the gear like you're saying.
Yeah. Now, if he could improve his second serve, not that he's going to develop that into a weapon, but it won't be as easily attacked. I did see a number of highlights where Tsonga just ran around the back and absolutely ripped that second serve. And that second serve I mean, for a pro, obviously for a recreational player, you look at a second serve, you're like, I would love to have that second serve. But for a pro, it did look a little lobbed in there. It didn't look like it was hitting the court and exploding in any way, like a Federer is able to do on his second serve.
Yeah.
So if he can, kind of the way that Andy Murray in the last year, I think, has improved his second serve to where it's not awesome, but it's not as attackable. If he can make his second serve to where it's not as attackable, that again would help him win more matches. But I still don't think that's enough to, you know, go through and win 7 matches and beat guys who can go to that next gear.
Yeah. It's that 150 pounds too, because you got a solid 200 pounds of Tsonga.
Yeah, Tsonga looks tough.
Too much game.
And
I did see a little bit of Tsonga and Chilich, and Tsonga looked pretty good when he beat Chilich. They had to go to a tiebreaker.
Well, what I love about Tsonga is he's 31 years old, and he knows that he's at the end of his career. I saw where they were talking on the Tennis Channel. They were having like a little roundtable discussion on him, and Justin Gimelsob said that Tsonga is realizing he's towards the end of his career, and he's working extra hard. If you ever look up Tsonga's workouts on YouTube, there's a couple of YouTube workouts. Tsonga works really hard. He's proud of what he does. You know, he has a lot of great routines where he'll be hitting balls, and then after he hits a certain number of balls, then he'll sprint, and then he'll jump rope. Sometimes he even lifts a little bit of weights in between. I mean, he works hard, and he says that his goal this year is to be in the top 8 by the end of the year, not top 10, because top 10 doesn't get him to that final tournament.
Finals,
he wants to make it to the ATP Final World Tour, and so he's working hard, and he was very excited to win today. You could see he was very glad about his victory today.
Well, that's a good attainable goal.
Yeah,
top 8.
I like Tsonga. I would really like to. He's again right on the borderline to where it's like, gosh, you know, he's been there for so many years, and it would be nice to see him get just one.
And he's been so close.
Yeah, he deserves one. If he could, again, he's one of those guys. Now, he's got the firepower to beat anybody on any given day, but you almost feel like he needs like a huge win and then a break. Like he beats somebody big, and then his draw opens up because then somebody on the other side loses, and then maybe he can play somebody in the final that he truly believes he can beat. And I think that that's the only way. So he'd need a little bit of luck to actually win a major, in my opinion.
Do you think it happens? Final verdict on Tsonga?
No, it doesn't happen. Doesn't. I would love it to happen, but I don't think it's going to happen.
It could have, just as easily as it was Chilich, it could have been him.
Could have been. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what happened. That's the exact that's the exact picture I kind of painted, to where Chilich broke through and he beat Federer, so he beat a legend, and then he had a little bit of luck to where he'd go in the final against Nishikori, to where it's kind of the first time for both of them to be there. So it's not near as intimidating as like beating Federer, and then the next day you got to go in there and beat Djokovic or Murray. You know, that's very hard to do. But if you can bust the door and beat one of those guys, and then, you know, have somebody like a Nishikori there waiting for you in the final, then it's a lot more doable.
In a final, he's fallen short in a couple semifinals of majors. I don't think he's been in a final.
I think he made Australian Open final once. I think he did.
You're right. He torched Nadal in the semis, and then Djokovic got him 2008.
There you go.
All right. So
all right, let's go to the next match. Yeah, tell us about that.
We got Memphis and Basilashvili and Ryan Harrison. They are not on court yet, actually, Pete. There's a doubles match going a little long.
Ooh, that's exciting.
Yeah, so we're building it up with you guys right here live.
Those doubles matches in Memphis are exciting.
So they're both 24. They're in a similar spot. Harrison's had a little more success. Basilashvili, $721,000 lifetime prize money. Ryan Harrison, a little over $2 million.
Wow.
So Harrison's definitely done more winning. But I don't know. This is kind of like a pick-em.
I'm surprised Harrison's won $2 million on the tour.
He's been trying really hard for a while. But yeah, they're both 24. They're both in the top 60 in the world. They're both 6'1". Harrison's got about 9 pounds on him. And I think that might be what it comes down to. Harrison, I always thought Harrison was pretty good. He moves really well, and he's pretty solid. And the forehand is almost a weapon. I think sometimes he tries to be like Nadal and really whip that forehand, and he drops it a little short. And I think that's a big issue for him. I don't know. What are your thoughts on why is Ryan Harrison not produced more? Everyone thought he was really promising a few years ago.
I think a number of reasons. Number one is, I think you hit it right on the head. Like, he almost has weapons. Like, he has glimpses of where he can hit through the court. But then when you look at Federer and other people, they can consistently hit through the court. And I think he's one of those guys who gets in his own way mentally. He seems to be, if you look at a lot of his score lines, he's somebody who looks like he tries really hard. And then, so I think he's like very intense, but he almost blows himself up to where he'll play like a really tough set and it'll be 7-5. And then the next set will be 6-1. It's like he gets
like
overly
he shot it. He used everything he had to throw the temper tantrum and play as aggressive as possible.
Yeah, he just fires himself up too much to where when it doesn't happen for him, it's like he mentally lets himself down. I don't think it's like an intentional tank. It's just like he just works himself up so much that it's almost like a tank. Lots of his score lines, if you look at it. So I hope he can get over that. It's certainly got to be a big confidence builder to be in the finals of an ATP event and to be playing in front of his home crowd, which is great for him. So you know, this is about as good as it's going to get for him, to where he's playing somebody who's ranked at his level. He's playing in a smaller atmosphere. It's a very hometown atmosphere. Yeah. And so this would be a situation to where, you know, if he's going to break through, if he's going to have a confidence breakthrough, this is about as good as it gets, and hopefully he can use it going forward. Matt, can we still hear you? I just see your picture.
Yeah, my phone is actually about to die, I think. I had to put it in low power mode. But can you hear me at least?
I can hear you, yes.
All right, that's good.
And we can see your angry face when it comes up. You got like a very, just talk again so everybody can see the angry Matt face.
Yeah?
Yeah, it looks like you're looking down at me and passing judgment.
Oh no, that's a photo. That's my you know, my avatar.
I know, that's your avatar. Your avatar is looking down at me and passing judgment. Like,
I'll work on a new one.
Yeah.
But real quick, I just want to say I watched Ryan Harrison and Sam Querrey, and I was blown away by how Harrison was really taking it to him. Harrison looked world class. I mean, just to put it this way, he was up 5-0 in the first set. He was up 4-0 in the second set. And when Querrey was serving to stay in the second set 5-1, the first serve, he hit a big flat wide serve, and Harrison just ripped it cross court clean winner. It reminded me when Djokovic, do you remember that one U.S. Open in the semifinals where Djokovic on match point down ripped Federer's serve right for a clean winner? I do remember. And then he did another shot like that a couple points later. I think Ryan Harrison, he's going to win it.
I think he will win it too. I think when you got the home crowd working for you, you have more firepower than your opponent. He does have more firepower, and his confidence is high because he's beating his peers handily. And even though a lot of people out there may go, well, yeah, he's beating Querrey and he's beating Donald Young, you know, what's the big deal? But when these guys compete against each other day in and day out, and they see each other and they're at the same training camps, when you start to beat people handily that you train against every week and every year, and maybe you're not beating them, and then all of a sudden you go out and pound them in front of the world, that can mean a lot for your game. So don't take this lightly that, well, he just beat a couple of other Americans that are not performing that great. For him, this is a big deal because he's playing against his peers who he trains against. I'm sure they probably go back and forth on who beats who and who's hotter what week. And to come out and make such a statement back to back, it could be a very good thing for him.
Yeah, I think I'm sure he's probably going to play. What is Delray Beach is coming up pretty soon before Indian Wells.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely the time of year for those lower tier players in the 60s, 70s. You know, it's a great time for them to make a move and get their game and their ranking up into the 30s and 40s. And then once you're able to do that, you know, your draws sometimes get a little easier. You get a little more confidence, and it's all about confidence. So this is a great time of year to rack up some points, move your ranking up, build up your confidence, so that when you do face a big name player, maybe you're playing them in the second or third or fourth round rather than the first round every darn time. And so it just allows you to keep building and growing. And so I really hope that can happen for Ryan today.
So what's your final verdict on Ryan Harrison?
Ryan Harrison's going to win today. He's going to have maybe a decent little run here where he might have a chance to do well at Delray. And then the big guns are going to come back in Palm Springs. And then it's going to go the clay court season. And we won't be talking about Ryan Harrison again until the early summer tournaments like Atlanta. Yeah. That's my prediction. Sad to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you're wrong. I hope he does something special because I've always enjoyed watching him.
I have too. I was really excited the first time I saw him at the U.S. Open, and he was playing a really good match, and I forget who he played against, but
Isner?
No, it was some guy who I think beat Federer at Wimbledon one year, and he had a classic 5-set match. I think he might have even lost, but I was super impressed because it was the first time I saw him, and he was young, and he was a fighter. He's a fighter. He's a grinder. He likes to be intense. He likes to talk a big game. He has big goals, but he just lacks those essentials. He needs, even though he's intense, he needs a cooler head. He needs a little more firepower. He's so close with that. He's a guy who could develop a little more firepower. He's got the frame to do it. He's strong enough to do it. You could see looking at him, he's put well together. So he could find extra little, power sources that could get him.
The technical form, he's 6'1", 185. You'd think he'd be able to hit it as hard as anybody.
I think a lot of it is timing. I think his timing isn't as great as a Federer. He looks like he works harder on his strokes to get less than Federer works. I think it's court positioning. I think because he doesn't have the skill of a Federer, Federer can, constantly be picking up balls on the baseline and inside the baseline and, steering them for winners using all the opponent's pace and then, exquisitely timing the ball to hit the ball back even faster at his opponents, where Ryan Harrison tends to play a little further back behind the baseline and his timing isn't as good. And so he's just muscling a lot more than the top players do. So if he could ever learn to just pick up a little bit of timing, get his court position a little more aggressively inside the baseline and have better timing there and not make mistakes once he starts to enter inside the court, then you could see him post consistent results that keep his ranking moving up.
Yeah. Well, I would love to see that.
I think we all would. So there you go, guys. That's our pre-match analysis of the Memphis tournament, which has the whole entire world on the edge of their seat. I think this is going to get I think this match today is estimated to get 100 million views worldwide, and
wow.
Going to be breaking the Federer Nadal watch. Yeah, I think so.
Unbelievable.
Or at least it's maybe the most popular thing going on in Tennessee this weekend. In tennis.
Yeah. No, I think the diehard fans are pleased to see Ryan Harrison there.
Yeah, they are. And as Americans, we're hopeful to wish him the best.
Great champion.
And, even if he does well here and he does well a couple of warm-up tournaments before they have to transition over to Palm Springs and Miami, it could be enough to keep him inside, because he flirts of getting into the 60s and 70s and then being knocked out of, that magical 128 draw to where he, has to qualify to get in majors and things like that. And to get into these 500 tournaments where they only take 60 something or 32 people, he could have enough good results in the next couple months to at least keep him qualifying for all these tournaments to where he doesn't have to, waste so much time and energy trying just to qualify just to get into the main draw. That is, a lot of times winning the back draw is harder than winning matches in the main draw because it's exhausting. Everybody's hungry. It's just a different level of hunger and grinding that you have to go through just to get into the tournament. That once you're in there, you're like, you felt like you just won a tournament, and it's hard to then just keep going lots of times.
I think some of those guys are literally hungry. That they don't pay them as much in the qualifiers.
Well, one thing that's sad is is, you know, you look at Maria Sharapova and Serena Williams and Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal, Djokovic, you know, the guys who we hear about all the time, and you just see what a lavish lifestyle they can have, how much money they have. But the fact of the matter is 97% of professional tennis players that declare themselves professionals don't make enough money to cover their expenses.
Yeah.
So they've worked extremely hard. They're extremely talented. They're extremely dedicated. They're making all kinds of sacrifices, and they're not making enough money to cover for the price of training and flying places and eating. And so it is a very tough life.
Yeah. And I think that's part of why Ryan Harrison's been struggling. Like you said, he's been having to play guys like that.
Yeah.
Fighting to keep the dream alive.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Matt, you have any parting thoughts before we end today's broadcast?
I really hope Ryan Harrison gets a win here, but at the same time, I'm okay with the other guy winning because I know he's in that same boat, and he hasn't made $2 million like Ryan Harrison. So,
yeah.
I don't know. May the best man win. I know it'll be a big boost to either one of them, just the fact that they made it to the final.
Yep, very cool. And guys, if you've never seen Matt before, this is Matt Bradshaw, and he does our fitness on our channel. So if you're on our YouTube channel right now, scroll down to the fitness section and check out a couple of his exercises. One of my favorite, which is really, really good to get ready for a match, is called the Grade 8. So check out Matt's Grade 8, and he shows you a great warm-up. And then you can also, if you want, at the end of the video, download the PDF so you can take it to the court. And, you know, you take that PDF to the court a couple times. You know, I think after a couple times you have it memorized.
You get it memorized, and it just becomes a habit.
Becomes a habit.
Keeps you playing longer, keeps you playing better.
Yep. And you can also go to crunchtimecoaching.com to check out all kinds of cool articles. One of the first things you're going to see is a free ebook called 7 Steps to a Powerful Serve. Having a powerful serve can be a game changer in your matches. I think it is one of the main, stats that helped Federer beat Nadal. If you look at that match, Federer had 20 aces to Nadal's 4. That's very substantial stat there. And he also won 76% of his first serve points to Nadal's 63. And also allowed him to be a little more aggressive off the first hit than Nadal was. So, you know, if you can develop a bigger serve against your opponents, it's going to help you. So you can head over to crunchtimecoaching.com, download the free ebook, 7 Steps to a Powerful Serve. And that's it. Other than that, Matt, they should subscribe.
Absolutely, subscribe. We got so many awesome tips to help you be a better tennis player.
Yeah. And after they subscribe, then they should comment and tell us what they think about our picks, and if this is an important event for the ATP or not, this Tennessee tournament. Is it gonna help any of these players have better results? We want to know what you think about today's matches. And
is it the springboard for Ryan Harrison?
Yeah. And also send us all your money. Get ready. Take down this address and send us. No, we're just kidding. Just keep watching our videos. That's good enough.
Don't take anyone hostage.
Yeah. All right, guys. We're going to end the broadcast. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for having me on, Pete.
Yeah. Next time, charge your battery so I don't see angry Matt face looking at me.
I'll get right on that.
All right. Bye.
All right. See you, Pete.